Wes Buck Show.
It's uncut, it's unfiltered. This is the show of shows. This is the biggest names in drag racing. No holds barred.
Speaking his mind.
I've never had a problem expressing my opinions, but what we're doing here is bigger than that. These are conversations that need to be had in an unfiltered way.
Exploring hot topics.
Drag racing's all I've ever done. It's all I care to do.
And spreading the gospel of drag racing.
I respect the history. I appreciate how far we've come, but I want more for this sport, and I'll fight for it. This is the great American motorsport, drag racing.
The Wes Buck Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Hey gang, Wes Buck here, Drag Illustrated Magazine, checking in. It is Wednesday, February 1st, 2023. Hope you guys are doing well out there, and I hope you're staying a little warmer than we are down here in the greater Dallas-Fort Worth area. It's a day, snow day number 3, if that's right, snow day number 3. So we're coming to you from the house, the home office here today. I hope all you guys are doing well. Remember to click like, click share, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, if you're watching along on YouTube, and just know that we really appreciate your involvement in this show each and every week. We say it repeatedly, but it never really gets old. We can't do this without each and every one of you. So thank you for being a part of it and helping us spread the gospel of drag racing. We got a hell of a show lined up for you today. We're going to be joined in just a few minutes, matter of fact, by Rex Simmermaker from WinLight Bets, who we have partnered with for the fast approaching Drag Illustrated World Series of Pro Mod in Bradenton, Florida, March 3rd, 4th, and 5th, 2023. A little bit after that, we're going to check in with U.S. Street Nationals Pro Mod #1 qualifier, Chip King, and then we will touch base with the winner of the event, kickstarting the 2023 drag racing season, the one, the only Ken Quartuccio, who had a really incredible performance on Sunday down there amidst what was inarguably one of, if not the most competitive pro mod field of all time. Damn near it, I think it was. Before we get any further along, let's check in with my co-host here, Mike Carpenter. JT, what's up, buddy? What are you guys doing?
What's up?
Man, you gotta stay safe in that ice and snow, man. It's brutal.
Bro, I told my wife this morning, I'm not afraid to drive to the office myself, but I'm afraid of everybody else out there. I just keep getting Twitter notifications collision on such and such highway and multi-car pileup on something. You know what?
It's a real deal in the South, man. Everybody likes to make fun of that, but that's a real thing. You're being smart. Plus, you have the stupid fast internet at home now too. So
fiber internet came to the neighborhood, the community here recently, and it was probably one of the most excining days of my life when I ran that speed test.
That came here.
It pegged the gauge, bro. If you go to speedtest.net, it pegs it. I mean, it literally redlines the gauge. And I'm going, this is the way the internet was meant to be consumed.
It kind of looks like Mark Mickey's car on the Fuel Tech hub dyno. That's
yeah, right.
Peg that bitch.
My goodness, man. My goodness. It's been a wild couple days around here, man. It's hard to believe that we're a little over 30 days away from the World Series. Are you guys? I don't know. I haven't slept in 5 nights, 6 nights. Yeah,
it's
upon us.
It's getting scary now. Because before you could be like, oh, we got time, or or there is time to do that, or
we're 30 days out.
Go, and
when I said that on our call yesterday, everybody was like, don't say that, man. You're scaring us. I'm bored though, man. We need more to do. There's just not enough to do to prepare for
about that.
We need more
about that.
JT wanted me to throw that in there. He wants more to do.
Yeah. Always need more responsibilities for sure.
Yeah, I gotta be honest, man. I don't know if you guys feel this way, but I truly feel like something special is happening. Do you guys get that? And I know we're obviously biased, and I was wondering how I could go about having this conversation with you guys without just completely coming off as a biased salesperson, which I am by all accounts, hand to God. But do you guys feel this? I gotta say, and I want to give a shout out to really everybody that's been involved. From the moment we announced the World Series of Pro Mod, going back 3 months ago, a little over 3 months ago, what has happened over the course of the last 90 days? Personally, I've never seen anything like it. The amount of people that have rallied around this event and the track and this group of people, it's hard to put into words my personal gratitude for what's happening here, because I sent this message to you guys over the weekend. How have we gotten so lucky to have the racer base that we do? To have these guys and gals promoting the race and trying to help us sell tickets. And I'm getting messages from people. I had one of our racers, Justin Bond, and I were talking over the weekend, and he's in British Columbia, Canada. And he's telling me, he goes, dude, I've never felt this level of pressure, not to perform, but just like I've got all these friends and family, everybody that I know that knows I drag race, because I'm in Canada. Everybody I encounter is like, hey, did you get invited to that World Series of Pro Mod? Are you going to that? He's like, what is going on? And I've had a lot of people.
We're going to hear more and more of that as the time approaches. That pressure is going to start to mount. We talked about pressure with Ricky Smith a lot last week, and it's going to be interesting to see, man. That, like you said, it's kind of breaking through to the mainstream. Sean Willis is here in the comments saying he has casual racing fans asking him about it, which I think is the same thing what you're saying with Justin Bond. So that's a huge deal. Canada, Spencer Hyde, Canada's coming in strong for sure. So it's a really cool deal.
I want to give a couple of shout outs. Like, first and foremost, there's a slew of racers that have reached out and expressed their interest in being involved and asked what needs to happen or who do they got to call. And it's such a powerful, like, I get halfway emotional about it, that people see what we're trying to do, because obviously we have business. You know, this is a business first and foremost. And that's a conversation I've had to have a lot, that we're not in a position for this to be some, drop another word JT's going to have to Google, but this is not a philanthropic effort. You know, this is not us like trying to save the whales. This is us trying to prove to the world and to the drag racing community that door slammer drag racing can stand on its own, that it can be a marquee attraction, that we don't necessarily need header flames and nitro and 300-mile-per-hour trap speeds for this event to be significant. I think that's been a kind of a belief that has permeated our sport for decades, that there's a limit to what you can do with a door slammer show. I think that in the past it was Kenny Nolling who really drove the bus on fighting against that notion. I think in recent years it's been Sam Corcus and the team at Street Outlaws and No Prep Kings, the crowds that they have been able to assemble and the interest they've been able to generate around door car drag racing, cars that still look like cars. PDRA driver sits on the left hand. Yeah, absolutely. PDRA, NMCA. There's been a lot of people, but I think we are going to plant our flag that first weekend in March and prove to the world that pro modified drag racing is the universal language of our sport. It is the next big thing, and it most assuredly is the path forward. I mean, where our sport is headed, pro mod will take it there. I truly believe door slammer drag racing has more growth potential than any other. I mean, think about the implications of pro modified. I mean, the top sportsman division is insane, like problematically insane, to be honest. In years to come, I want to bring top sportsmen into the fold and find unique ways to kind of identify those folks and that group of racers as next man up, so to speak. You know, a training ground, a breeding ground of pro mod's next big names. So I just look at this particular portion of the sport. I'm very, very convicted in the fact this is it, guys. We're creating an environment, and it's going to take all of us. I know that I'll get a bunch of shout outs, and that's wonderful. And Drag Illustrated will get a bunch of shout outs, but it's not us. It's not me. It's this group of people that shares a vision, shares a common goal to put pro mod racing on the map in its rightful place. And man, I think we're all going to reap the rewards. I truly do. Mike, you mentioned earlier this morning in our team conference call, the pressure building as the eyeballs get bigger and the visibility get bigger, and that being something of a double-edged sword. Well, let's talk about that at least momentarily here, because there is, right? It's a leading edge or bleeding edge, like all the great things that come with big-time visibility, man, big-time pressure, big-time expectations. It's an interesting thing.
No doubt about it, man. Though, like I said, we talked about this with Ricky. He said the pressure's not going to get my ass, but we'll see. We'll see whose ass it ends up getting, because it's definitely going to be some pressure there. I think, especially coming off the U.S. Street Nationals, we sort of got our last little glimpse of what these cars are going to be running, the different combinations, the weather conditions, which I think were completely off the charts at US Street, and it'll be different by the time we rolled down there in March. But it was kind of like the last time we get to see this before everybody goes back into the trailer, into the shop, and makes those final preparations for what we think will be one of the biggest independent drag races in recent memory or of all time. And that's the way it's trending, and got a lot of exciting partners and a lot of exciting things on deck. But before we go any further, you've mentioned a couple things like standing on your own. We're talking about
sliding into the next week,
sliding in. We've talked about the weather, the ice. There's a lot of things that you have to be concerned with, and we were faced with the possibility of not having one of our key players on board for World Series of Pro Mod because he damn near killed himself with a truck door. And it was
so this is probably one of the most popular videos we've posted on our page.
It was a real scary moment. Recently. It was really scary. Had us all worried that we were going to have to do
you were
World
scared.
Series
I
Pro
didn't know
Mod
what the hell happened for a while.
Yeah, we were really concerned about you for about 0.2 seconds, and then the rest of us proceeded to laugh our ass off for the last week. So we got a little treat for you guys here.
Oh my goodness! Wait,
no, that's not it.
Here we go. Let's run through this a couple times, team.
That is, I mean, not only to fall, but to grab the door and hit yourself in the head on the way down.
No, you didn't grab the door. You didn't let go of the door.
Well,
yeah. Here he goes. And it looks like you're carrying a bunch of Christmas gifts or something. That's what I thought at first. Like, yeah, JT was on his way to give like underprivileged children Christmas gifts, and he damn near killed himself. Let's watch it again. Here we go.
Jay's
oh, dude. So
walk us through.
I mean, did that not look slick?
I wasn't even thinking. It just melted and went down the drive. I didn't even realize it was ice down there. It was my daughter's fault for parking my truck there. I mean,
my God.
Yeah.
How? Let me ask you this: how quickly did you run back to the house to check your Ring doorbell to make sure you had it on camera?
Oh no, I got in the truck and then I looked in the mirror to, I didn't see any blood. Looked in the mirror, figured I had a black eye. I usually get about 2 black eyes a year at least, probably. Maybe one a month. I don't know.
Unknown causes. We don't know.
You never really know. And then and then I was like, I bet the Ring caught it. So then I grabbed it, just there off the phone.
Let's play it again. Play it again. We got to run through it. Let's do like a play-by-play. JT, tell us what you were thinking when you started to lose traction there.
I didn't know what happened. Like, I'm serious. Like, I stood up and I thought, did I just get blindsided? Like you don't know what the hell happened there for a little bit.
What'd you do? Did you clean up the mess and then get in your truck, or
yeah?
Or
I actually about fell down again going to get that box down in the corner there. Like, woo!
I'm gonna play it one more time. Do you think that? Happens. Well, it does, man. But do you think that there was no mark on your face? No, it didn't cut.
Yeah, I had
to break skin
for a couple of days. Yeah.
Bro, I was genuinely concerned. Whenever you sent that video, I go, "Oh man, are you okay?" Because that looks like a legit head trauma situation.
I was. What was it? 2 years ago at a New Year's Eve party, I was running up behind one of my buddies, and I was going to scare him, and I was running up behind him, and I went to miss him and hit ice and went wah, and he fell down, of course, too, because it was on ice, and I went flying into the side of a Suburban and broke 2 ribs. Remember that?
I do remember that.
Yeah, I was feeling pretty.
You were
fortunate.
in bad shape for a long time over that broken rib deal.
That's awful. I broke about everything in my body, but those ribs, I'm telling you, man, that was painful.
And what's funny is
you couldn't even wince a little bit to cough, without peeing your pants. I mean, it was awful.
You're not like, and for those that don't know, JT's not, an Evel Knievel protege. He's not doing stunts. This is just living life. He's not in the NFL.
It's the life of an athlete, man. He's an incredible athlete. We've seen that over and over.
Just ask him. He'll tell you. Yeah.
Peak physical condition.
Cat-like reflexes.
Oh, you're so funny, dude.
Was this before or after the Chiefs game? I can't remember. I think it was before, wasn't it?
Yeah, before.
So you damn near didn't get to watch the Chiefs game. You did watch the Chiefs game
from
the hospital.
I would have watched it.
Yeah. What kind of shape were you in Sunday night, Monday morning?
Pretty good, really.
Really?
Yeah. I think I get worse off a loss than I
do. No
allergies.
no allergy issues on Monday.
Oh, the allergies were definitely still bad, but the pollen count was definitely down a little bit.
What do you? I'll interview you the way I would a racer.
Why don't they have those games on Saturday?
I know, right? I thought that same thing.
Like,
but
they need to be on Saturday. Super Bowl needs to be on Saturday.
The game was actually over at a pretty reasonable time, though. It wasn't open at over 10:30 or something Eastern,
it
which is
it was pretty easy.
Yeah,
pretty
so not
time.
Too bad.
Yep.
Oh, T, what do you contribute all your success in partying to? Do you think it's just never letting off the gas, just staying committed?
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah,
it's just never letting off the gas whatsoever. And then, matter of fact, like I'll just go refill up and mash it again. Like there's still hours left in the day. Let's go.
Were you sober when that fall happened?
Yeah.
Oh, damn! Wow. I thought maybe you had a Bloody Mary or something to start the morning out.
No.
Okay.
I only drink in the mornings on like special occasions.
A mimosa, maybe.
Like golf.
I'm genuinely impressed with JT's ability to like forge forward. I mean, he'll party till 5, 6 in the morning, right? I mean, literally be sending people on their merry way at the hotel lobby, like giving hugs and letting everybody, hey, you guys want a Coors Light for the road?
Never been a part of that.
But then he's like ready to rock. Yep. He's ready to rock in 2 hours.
That is the screwed up part about it, because you're like, well, it's going to take me days to recover from this. I might be dead. JT's up the next morning. What's wrong with you? What's the matter? Let's go. We got to let's
hair
get
the dog, Mike. You got to get back in it. You just push your hangover for however many days you're on vacation or whatever, or wherever you're at. You just push it out, and then the allergies hit. Then after.
I just got word. Nancy gave me the bad news earlier this week that until my wife and kids arrive to World Series of Pro Mod, my roommate is JT.
Oh,
so I've got like 3 nights.
JT is so excited right now. JT's like, perfect.
Yep.
So
I have time to shave your eyebrows before the race starts. No, I have already made a bet with the limo guy that on Friday night of Rivals, whoever he's rooting for the Eagles, of course, and whoever the loser has to wear the opposing team shirt to Rivals.
Oh, yeah. Rivals night's going to be lit, man. I just got a text from Melanie Salemi looking to line up a race for Friday night. So I think that's going to be
everybody should be trying to line up a race.
Man, I got 2 that we're going to announce this week that are let's talk about that momentarily, because I think, and it's actually a great segue to our first guest of the day, to talk a little bit about these rivalries are important. I think it's a really important part of what's going on with the World Series of Pro Mod, and it's fun. Sometimes you gotta push these guys and gals. You gotta say, hey, we got an opportunity here. You guys have a little bit of history. Let's turn this into something. And I'm excited because I think we're gonna kind of set the stage on Friday night, and who knows where these things go, later on. Right. I mean, I assume Manny Bajinga and Marty Robertson, which was one of the first grudge races we announced for World Series of Pro Mod Rivals Night, that could be a long-standing feud. Those guys will meet in other walks. They'll meet in NHRA competition. They'll meet in PDRA competition. Jay Cox and Jim Halsey, they will forever be linked, I think. I mean, and they were prior, but this is going to really add to that.
It could fuel a fire, for the rest of the season, depending on what happens in one of these runs. Pretty exciting.
I completely agree. I'm excited about that, perhaps more so than anything else, because it's, right? I mean, and it just gives us an opportunity to get fans engaged and let fans pick sides. Pick one and ride, they say. And that's what I want to see all weekend long, but especially on Friday night. I think it's going to create an event within an event for all intents and purposes. We're going to have Friday, in my opinion, will be a standalone show. I mean, we've got a certain DJ set we're going to do Friday night, everything kind of tailor-made for Rivals Night, which, great job, T. That was a hell of a good idea for the name. I fought you on it for a while. I wasn't totally sold.
Yeah, Wes didn't. We didn't decide on that till after the press release was said. Then he was like, "All right, now we'll do Rivals Night."
I did it wrong. I did it wrong. It's easier just to kind of lead you to it, and then you say it, and then it's okay.
That's right. If it's his idea, it's all good. We're rolling with it.
As if, you idiots. Oh my God.
Well, it's also the only nighttime session. I mean, obviously Rivals Night, Friday night, we've been saying that, but that's something to keep in mind, that these guys are gunning for it, not only for their rivalry matchup, but to try to set low ET and improve their qualifying position, because who knows what the weather will be, especially when the sun's out during the day. So we'll see. That could be, if it's typical March Florida weather, that's going to be
Friday night's going to be the money session,
yeah.
right? And it's like, you think about it in terms of the business ramifications. 10,000 to win, 10,000 goes to number one qualifier, courtesy of Mike Janis Racing, Mike Janis Superchargers. I mean, they're putting up 10 grand to qualify number one. So I think you're going to have really that Friday night session is your opportunity to really, earn that money. We got a great comment here. Natalie Parsley saying Bubby and Frankie have always been two great matchups. Seeing Frankie Taylor and Jason Scruggs run Friday night under the lights, what a moment that represents, right? I mean, to be able to run those two against each other, two icons, two legends of our sport going head to head, super exciting. We got a question here. You guys have any events planned for the VIP ticket holders? Let's touch on that briefly, because I'm actually thinking a lot about doing an NHRA style track walk on Sunday morning. Do you guys, I think sometimes people don't, the opportunity to come down and be on the surface, you know what I mean? Like getting to walk the field at an NFL game, to me seems like that's something that we should get a little bit more aggressive about, in my opinion. What do you guys think of that? You like that idea?
Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It'll be interesting to see the difference. Maybe some people that have been on an NHRA track versus this track, which I don't think we're going to have it. We're going to have it prepped a little differently than what we saw this past weekend at US Street. We talked about that today with Victor and his team, but still there's difference in these tracks and how they're prepped, different traction compound that's used. So even that's interesting to the diehard fans to see the difference on that.
And a lot of this stuff,
mini roast and a hayride. I've got all kinds of ideas, guys.
I really like the idea.
Want to drink with you, JT. So maybe we'll do we'll do a raffle. Someone can take my spot as JT's roommate for the.
I'm kind of a one-handed worker when I'm,
kind of. DRC Garage Racing Garage is asking, can you speak what other classes will be there? So the star of our show, obviously the World Series of Pro Mod, a 32 car field. We'll have about 50 cars vying for those 32 spots. A really exciting program to kind of be the tip of the spear for us. We will also have the inaugural Shameless Racing Mountain Motor Pro Stock Invitational presented by Seminole Paving. Very excited about this. It's no secret my affinity for Mountain Motor Pro Stock Racing. These are real deal race cars, manually shifted, naturally aspirated, gasoline burning. And we're going to see a whole bunch of cars in the bottom 4-second zone, if not dipping into the threes. I've said I kind of hope that happens later in the year at a PDRA race where it feels like it should happen. Just to pay homage to what PDRA has done to keep that style of drag racing rocking and rolling like they have. But we will also have the inaugural Extreme Front Wheel Drive Challenge. I'm very excited about this as well, bringing in a totally different fan base, a totally different group of people that oftentimes don't show up at traditional drag racing events, if you will. So I'm really excited. It's a little bit of a worlds collide type of moment. We also have the DH Davies Racing Factory Stock Classic, another huge thing for our event, because I don't know that there is a more perfect pairing with Pro Mod and Pro Stock than those small tire factory shootout cars. We've been very specific with the people we've gone after to be involved in this event, the stars of the NHRA Factory Shootout Series, the stars of the NMCA Factory Showdown category. So it'll be another meeting of the minds, if you will, world colliding at Bradenton Motorsports Park. We're also going to have Top Dragster, a 32 car Top Dragster field, and a Super Pro category. That's actually news. We have not announced that, but we just announced it now. The reason for that, and this is just something that I feel strongly about, and if people watch this that put on their own races, I think one of the worst things you can do as a race promoter, especially like a suitcase promoter such as myself or such as we are, that don't have a home track necessarily, is go into a venue, put on a big race like this, and then basically tell all the locals and the regular racers that support that track week in and week out, tell them that they're not welcome or that you don't have a place for them. So we can't house the several hundred people that support Bradenton Motorsports Park every weekend with their points program, their bracket racing programs, but we can welcome in as many of them as possible. And I'm very excited about that because it's a big moment for a lot of these weekend warrior racers that represent the lifeblood of our sport. It's what we are. It's what I am. It's what I grew up doing is, parking in the grass and paying an entry fee to go, run Super Pro or Top ET, whatever. Those guys and gals are the backbone of our sport. And to have an event like the World Series of Pro Mod and leave them on the outside looking in my opinion, is just unacceptable. So we have decided to add Top Dragster and Super Pro to our offering for the weekend. To just get the local racer base involved, the local fan base involved, all those people that keep the lights on at Bradenton Motorsports Park week in and week out, want them involved in a big way. But I believe that pretty much rounds out our class offering. 6 categories, I believe I just listed off there. Very excited about it. We're going to run. Corey Voss is asking if Eddie Buck will be invited. My dad's on the mend, man. He's having a hell of a time. My dad, as I put on Facebook here a couple of weeks ago, has been out of the hospital. He spent 55 days in the ICU on a ventilator. He's at home, but unfortunately still on a feeding tube, still fighting. He hasn't had solid food since the first week of November. So rough battle. He fell down yesterday, split his head open, fainted. And so anyways, it's a nonstop calamity. Keep my dad in your prayers because he needs them. We had to have our big, come to Jesus yesterday that he's not getting rid of all of his race car stuff. He was 2 days ago. I think I need to just sell everything. No. Let's take a deep breath, Pops. We don't need to liquidate the racing operation or whatever. But yeah, I appreciate. We've had a lot of people ask if Junior Ward would be there driving the Buck Brothers Racing Mountain Motor Pro Stock entry, and that was the plan. Obviously, one of the driving forces behind getting Mountain Motor Pro Stock involved with this race was so that my dad could come be a part of it and race. Unfortunately, that's not going to work out. We're just hoping that we can keep him kicking here. So thank you guys for we've had a ton of messages. My dad reads all that stuff. So thank you guys. It means a lot to him. It means a lot to us. He needs all the prayers and well wishes he can get right now. So thank you guys. What's the Top Dragster payout? What do we say? 15 grand? 10,000. 10,000 to win Top Dragster.
Was not going to confirm nor deny.
Yeah. 10,000 to win. 10,000 to win Top Dragster, and we're going to do 5,000 to win Super Pro. So
someone asked if all classes are going to be 8th mile.
2 of them, I believe, will be running quarter mile. Yeah. Not pro stock, not mainly just because we don't want to upset the apple cart and the established norms that exist around factory shootout racing and extreme front wheel drive racing. It's kind of one of those things we're working through right now. Yeah. So, yeah. 426 Hemi. What else we got cooking? Marcus Burt in the house. I had a feeling that we would see Marcus Burt get his name called to come in and wheel a car. I don't know. I have a funny feeling Marcus Burt's name's going to be involved in this deal somehow, some way before it's all over, man. The Hitman or the Axeman, right?
Yep.
What else do we got cooking, you guys? Is Rex in the house? Let's talk about some gambling.
I think he is. I love gambling.
Yeah, this is JT's favorite thing, and JT's been heading this up with Rex. I think that's a good combo right there.
He knows all about it though, and let's bring him on so he can kind of tell us what they have planned for everything.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for our first guest of the day, Rex Simmermaker from WinLight Bets, who we partnered with for 2023. What's up, Rex?
Gentlemen, thanks for having me on the show. Your blooper show.
I know, right? Great. I know.
That was my idea. I was like, man, we got to roll with that to start the show. It's just too funny.
Yeah, it was to add insult to injury, looking at the plumber's butt at the end was a little offensive, JT.
Now there wasn't that much,
Yeah, just a little bit in some language, but
and I wasn't thinking about that at the time, so
that's fantastic. Well, guys, thanks for having me on. You mentioned earlier about the track walk and things like that you're going to do for for the event, which I just could not be happier to be a part of. You guys are putting on what is, I believe, is going to be, the major event that in drag racing in our sport for this year. And we're really excited to be just a small part of it. But excited to really bring this fan engagement action that has really never been done before in our sport.
I agree. Can you tell us
we're
a little
excited,
bit more?
but I was going to say, can you give us a little bit of the insight on basically, first and foremost, Rex, give us just some background on how this whole deal came to be. If I had $1 for every time I've had someone say, oh, sport betting needs to be more involved with drag racing. I mean, it's a conversation that, I had it yesterday with a sponsor about how important this step could be. So I would love to know a little bit of background about you, how this whole concept came to be, and really what the plan is for WinLight Bets, because it's a fan engagement tool that isn't just about dollars and cents. It goes deeper than that.
Yeah, so I grew up bracket racing at Gateway years ago with my dad. So every Saturday night was spent at the track bracket racing. And so that was really where the hook was set in terms of drag racing. I mean, we just grew up obsessing about it, just like a lot of us do. And then I grew a little bit, became halfway decent at basketball. So my career kind of changed a little bit to basketball and college coaching that way. But then I spent the last 20 years in corporate banking. During that time was racing, had a few nice wins and still raced. And that was great. But several years ago, I started a podcast called the Fast Brackets Podcast, where we talk top sportsman, top dragster every week. So when you talk about $10,000 to win in a top dragster event, that's a big deal for that class. And I know you will get the best of the best coming out for that. But as that was going on, the U.S. government decided to get out of the gaming space at a national level. So they passed a law called PASPA, which essentially put all the gaming rights back into the hands of the states individually. So at that point, that's when you saw the DraftKings, the FanDuels, Penn Nationals, MGM, all those gaming companies come to life. But they had been setting the hook for years in advance, mostly with different free-to-play games and fantasy leagues and things like that. So at that point, my corporate career was going well, but it wasn't overly fulfilling, to be honest with you. And so when that law passed and it allowed each state to make decisions, and at this point there are 35 states that have passed laws that say, hey, it's okay to sports bet. The other states will get there, but they aren't quite there yet. But we're moving towards that every day. There's more progress when it comes to that. So I knew that this was something that could really enhance our sport. So we know that it happens on the fence line quite a bit. That's good. It gives us an opportunity to feel a part of the action that way. But really what we had to do is look at it and go, all right, how do we do this and get this to a legal scenario as quickly as possible? And the way to do that is what's called a free-to-play model, meaning that all of your fans that are either at Bradenton Motorsports Park or watching on the live stream on Flow will get to download the app, the WinLight Bets app. It's super, it's quick to download. It's easy. There's no painful process. It's in iTunes. It's in Google Play. And then you will be able to play along, making your wagers on different races, different questions that come up. And then there's a leaderboard. And then we will actually pay out real dollars to the winners at the end of the race. So we're going to have 3 different events for the World Series of Prod. We're going to have one game or an event for the Rivals Night. We'll have another one for Saturday night qualifying, the most exciting qualifying round. And then we'll have another game for the race itself on Sunday. And throughout that, each day, people will have a chance to win real money without actually betting their real dollars on day one. Ultimately, we're all moving this to a legal scenario where we can legally bet. You can bet in any state that it's legal. And when that happens, that's going to drive real revenue to these tracks, to the associations, and it's going to ultimately drive revenue to the winning drivers in the form of contingency, which is really what this is all about, is is the more people feel like they can interact, the more money they invest. They're invested themselves, and ultimately that's what makes it fun, and that's what kind of drives the whole process.
I'm a big believer in it, to be honest with you, Rex, just because I always tell this story about sports betting. Whenever I took my first job in drag racing, I was 21 years old and I moved to Iowa to run a small 8th-mile drag strip in Southeast Iowa, Eddyville Raceway Park. And it was my first like extended period away from home, right? I was still living at my parents' house at the time. I'd moved out on my own, kind of failed and crashed and burned and moved back home. And I was looking for opportunities. I ended up taking this position at Eddyville Raceway Park. Move up to Iowa, my first time, and you're far enough away from home, 80, 90 miles, that it's, you can go home if you take a Notion, but it's not convenient, so I was kind of left to my own devices quite a little bit, lived on my own, first time being complete bachelor, living the solo life, found myself desperately looking for something to do. And I would find myself fairly regularly at the Prairie Meadows Casino in Des Moines, Iowa, betting on the ponies. And I'd never watched horse racing in my life. I have no affinity for horses whatsoever. Matter of fact, I'm not a fan at all. But it was amazing how $2, you could bet $2 per horse race. All of a sudden, I'm invested. I've got a dog in the hunt. And I couldn't wait to go, because I'd go bet $12, right? Bet $2 on 6 races they were going to have that night. And it's not like I'm betting the house. I'm not going to make any money. I don't even know what I'm talking about, but I could cheer for Lucky 7, right? And yell and scream his name. And it made all the difference in the world. And that's what I feel at times drag racing has lacked. Because to your point, it doesn't need to be, I don't need Drake betting $1 billion on who wins. I just want people to have the opportunity to kind of throw their hat and choose bet on a pony, right? Call their shot, if you will. I think this is going to be a really, really big deal, man. I'm genuinely convinced.
Well, as you dig into this, what you realize is really it's about fan interaction. And the fact of the matter is, what you and I did growing up, just watching events, isn't enough anymore. It's really not. People want to be part of the action. That's why you're saying, hey, should we do a track walk? Should we have this rivals night where we're setting things up and people get to vote on who can race that night and things like that, right? I mean, they want to be part of it. So this allows people to have a real say in it. So if you think you're pretty knowledgeable about this is going to be a thing for you, because you're going to get to prove it. You're going to prove whether you really know what you're talking about or if you don't. And guess what? The leaderboard will tell you. You don't have to have, there is a chat option where we can kind of talk a little smack, but ultimately the leaderboard talks the smack, right? So that's really, if for the people that really know what they're talking about, and they want to get down on that, that's where they can do it.
I'm genuine. What has been the feedback? I know you went to an event over the weekend, maybe met with some other track operators. I'm curious because we're seeing people pile into the comments here saying, I've been waiting to see when this was going to happen. I've been waiting for this to come. I believe you're going to see some real excitement and people looking to be involved in this. What's been the feedback, Rex, when you're out in the marketplace?
Yeah, so I've been at this thing for 2 years. I quit my job 2+ years ago to really go at this full time. And so we just came back from what is the drag strip operators meeting and expo. So it was a meeting of, I think there were 65 different drag strip operators throughout the Midwest that had gathered. And Carl Blanton put that together. It was a really nice effort that way. And we went last year and we showed them what we built. And we got a lot of questions, truthfully, from the drag strip operators, like, hey, is this going to screw up our event and type thing. So we revamped the whole thing and we presented again this last weekend. And to a man, what I got from every drag strip operator was, how much is it going to cost me? When are you coming to my track? I mean, that was it, which makes you feel really good. And the fact that it answered the question, it got us to where we were in terms of ease of use, but interaction and opportunity to really feel like you're a part of it, which is great. And so that's what we wanted to do. And, from this, the other thing with that is how we show up. So for instance, for the people that show up at Bradenton, we've got a whole, drag race themed casino that we're going to pull in and set up at the track, which I'm really fired up about. We'll have drag race themed craps table, and we'll have drag race themed slot machines. And we've got, a sports book area, which is, big screens, and the live feed will be on there from Flow. And we'll have all the stuff that will make it feel like a casino. I mean, showgirls, etc. And so, all the things that you have to have in order to have a casino, we'll have there at the track as well. So for the folks that are going to be there, it's cherry on top that way. But you can certainly watch from home and feel a part of it.
And the sport needs it badly. Do you feel so? Can you take us through some of the gameplay options? Because some of the stuff that we've talked has been what I think are fun prop bets. I mean, we're going to see it for the Super Bowl. Will the coin flip be heads or tails? Who's going to, I don't know, all these various prop bets, right? I'm excited to see the prop bets, but also the, Frankie Taylor versus Jason Scruggs. Who you got?
Right. So for Rivals Night, that's how it's set up, right? It is right lane versus left lane. It's, who do you have? And you just by signing up, you get X amount of points, 100 points. And then for every bet that you make, you can bet all 100 points, or you can bet, 10 points if that's what you want to do. And then as you earn more, if you have 1,000 points ultimately later in the race, then bet them all if you want. But the leaderboard is going to show you that. And so we have head-to-head questions. We have some bonus questions where we say, this might be something where how many Facebook followers does Drag Illustrate have? I don't know, but things like that that we can ask. And I think it's going to allow people that have some drag racing knowledge to show off a little bit, and then they're going to have the ability to lay it on the line when it's head to head, as we get to the semifinals, or if it's Rivals Night or whatever it might be. So it just allows people to get in on the action that they just haven't been able to do before in a legal manner.
Yeah, it's exciting, man. We're thrilled to have you guys be a part of it. We got a place earmarked for the WinLight Bets Camp. You're showing us some behind the scenes stuff. It's going to be exciting. Yeah, Daniel Afato is asking, do you bet on the cars racing during the event? And the answer is yes. It's going to be more like come race day. It's going to be more along the lines of left lane, right lane. Right.
Correct.
So it's not predetermined pairings necessarily. We will have that in play, I believe, Rex. I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but I believe we will have that in play on Friday night for our agreed upon grudge races that'll take place as part of Rivals Night.
Absolutely. Yeah. We have the ability to tailor this thing. So as long as, in Pro Mod, these cars aren't round robin. So we've got the ability to say, Taylor versus Sullivan or whoever it might be in each lane. And from that standpoint, so you'll be able to bet on each car that's going down the track. But there's also going to be questions like, for instance, Saturday night, let's take that, final qualifying. All right, what's going to be the final bump spot? Or, what's going to be the high mile per hour of this session? But things like that, where people that are really in the know and they're watching Q4 for that, then that would be something that would be exciting for them.
And I'm looking forward to it.
And Rex, this is there's steps to what you're going to try to accomplish at the end, correct?
Absolutely. So the model that we're using is starts with a free to play, but it moves forward from there. Really is the same exact model that DraftKings uses, that FanDuel used in order to get legal. So as we build a follower base, we will be able to go to each state, and we will, and we'll do more than one state at a time. But for instance, state to state, we'll be able to say, hey, now we have this fan base that wants it. We can prove that there's so much action on that. And then we would apply for state licenses on a state by state basis. But this is a proven model. It's not something I just came up with. We're using the exact same model that FanDuel, DraftKings use. So we would expect this to be about a 2.5-year process to get to legalized betting across the country. And there may be a few states here that get there sooner than that. And we're pushing hard to that because it's all I want. So it is absolutely all I want. So we're pushing hard to do that, but we think that there's a real process that we can follow. And we just know.
So is that how? I mean, forgive my ignorance, but I just don't know shit about sports betting, and any insight I get from JT. So was this the same situation? Like, what is the FanDuel story or the DraftKings story? Like, so was that a very similar thing you're saying, Rex, that initially they started playing with, like, I don't want to say monopoly money, but like points or whatever, like this other currency. Is that how it started as well? Because I don't know. Mike and JT probably know.
So they started with this fantasy league process, essentially, which is very similar. Then they did this free-to-play model where they said, okay, it costs nothing to enter. You can bet all you want, and then the winners get real dollars. And that's what we're doing. And then once they had real data that they could take to each state and say, if you go through the process, because the states have expenses and resources they have to spend as well in order to monitor these things. So this is highly monitored. So you have to prove to them that it's worth their time and energy as well. And so that's the same thing that we're doing. And so from that standpoint, we couldn't be more excited because we know there's a path. We just have to push really hard. And so I'm lucky. I have really smart people on my team, and we've got motivated investors. So it is, something that we know we're going to bring to, a legal standpoint here sooner rather than later.
So can we, like, JT, Mike, welcome yourselves back to the party here. Like, can we as a group agree, are we doing this? Like, is this a landmark happening? Is this like World Series of Pro Mod, WinLight Bet's first major rodeo? Is this a coming out party?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, from a media standpoint,
are we making history?
There's no doubt, right? We're absolutely making history. I will tell you that for the fans that want to get a sneak peek, we will be at Darlington at the WDRA event February 17th and 18th. We'll be at Lights Out for the week before, but we're doing something special for you guys, and we're not quite ready to announce all that stuff, but we're doing something extra special for you guys. And the reason is because your event requires it and deserves it. So we're excited to push forward on that as well.
And this is something I feel like we talk about how these other sports have embraced it and they have needed it. And I feel like it's critical at this point to NFL, NBA. I mean, they're official partners with these leagues. Every other commercial on an NFL game is that one with Kevin Hart sitting on his couch talking about bumps in his chest during the game. Right. You know the one I'm talking about. And
yes.
I feel like it's such a big deal, but they're able, because they've got rosters and games are planned out months in advance, that they're able to kind of build the infrastructure to allow people to, okay, I know this person's playing, I know their stats, I know all the stuff to build their lineups. And that's something we need to work toward in drag racing. And I feel like an invite only, rivals night, predetermined matchups, things like that. We were even asking our drivers as they register for the event to provide your best ET, your best speed, your engine combination, things like that, so that you can build these stats so that people could click on, Jason Scruggs and see his history, see his best ET, his win-loss ratio, and then make a decision of who they're taking. And that's something, obviously, that's going to take a while to get there, but it takes something like this to get that ball rolling and to get that kind of commitment and involvement to where we can do something like this.
That's one of the most common questions that I think we've gotten as a group is why invite only? And a lot of people think it's to, pick and choose who comes, and it's not it. It's more about knowing who's going to be there.
Right.
Then that's the most important part of it, is being able to control the cast. It's not about turning someone away. It's about having people involved that are committed so that you can do shit like this. Because if you don't, we can't. If we
wait until they show up at the gate. I mean, then it's hard to build on it and hard to promote them. I mean, there's no way to do it.
I mean, think about what's going on right now at the Super Bowl. There is a strategic reason beyond getting everybody healthy that the NFL playoffs end, and there's a 2-week gap between the end of the playoffs and the Super Bowl. Is it, get everybody healthy maybe, but more so, most importantly, tell the story. promote these storylines, hype it up, generate the interest that is required. And if we don't know who's showing up till Friday morning, we lose that opportunity as event promoters, and we cannot do that. And I'm excited about it because one of the things that I feel strongly about is bringing in money from outside of our community. What I see happening in drag racing a lot is just perennially going back to the well, right? I mean, we get the same companies, the same well-to-do people to sponsor everything. We get the same companies to pour resources into every event. And that's wonderful that we're so lucky as a community, as an industry, to have all these brands and manufacturers that are so passionate that they will spend their own money to make these events happen and to support these events. But if we really want to go to like the next level, my friend Jason Dukes and I, my coach, actually, we were in New Orleans last year, and it used to be Mercedes-Benz Dome, right? Now the New Orleans, it's Caesar's Palace Dome. Like these sporting, they're spending money like drunken sailors. Everywhere I look, DraftKings is sponsoring something, FanDuel's is sponsoring something, MGM, Caesar's Palace. We've got to get to a point as a sport where we can go after those dollars that are outside of drag racing, right? Because, how many things can Lucas Oil and Jegs and Summit and these handful of companies and Redline Oil, and like it's the same brands. I mean, and it's fantastic. Like Mark Beatty and I from Redline were talking about this the other day. I mean, he's got a presence with World Series of Pro Mod. He's got a presence with every power sports thing. He's got a presence with NHRA, presence with NMCA, presence with PDRA, title right. And thank God for those companies that are willing to support our sport. But we've got to, as promoters and operators, we got to go get some people that exist outside our space. And I think some of these things like what you're doing, Rex, will be the vehicle for that.
Well, Wes, did you go to that horse track because you liked watching the horses run around in circles? I mean, is that why you went?
No,
I mean, absolutely not. But it drew you to that, right? And now you spent money there. And so it does, in some ways, really make me mad when I'm mad. I mean this. When I'm on the Kentucky Derby and everybody, there's just piles and piles of cash there. And I'm like, we have a better event. We have a better sport.
You're right. You're right. You go to Vegas. You go to Vegas and you look on the wall at a sports book. You can bet on literally anything. Yeah. And I went through the slips and stuff. There's other motorsports in there, but there was nothing drag racing. And I was like, man, that is a shame. I mean, a damn shame.
Like those people that know me know I can on occasion get fired up. And it is one of the things that gets me fired up that our sport gets overlooked. And so that's kind of, where all this came from, as I said.
But it's like we got to do, if we want to be treated, if we want to be in that conversation as a sport, we got to act the part. And like sometimes we can't wait until someone else, we've got to start the process. Like we have to decide that we're big time as a sport. I get frustrated too, Rex, and fired up because I look at our sport. I say it at the beginning of every show, this is the great American motorsport. I stand by it, man. People came back from the war, and started tinkering on their hot rods. That is how, and this is a doer's sport. It's the most accessible motorsport that exists. Think about it. You can take your minivan and go bracket race at your local track or go run heads up, test and tune nights. Like drag racing is so accessible. Name me another sport that's more diverse than drag racing. Men, women, young, old, every race, creed, or color. In what other competitive venue would you see Jason Scruggs, a hardworking farmer, go head to head with Melanie Salemi? Right. It's just an unbelievably powerful thing. And the fact that some of this stuff hasn't happened, the sport's been around for 70 years.
It's because of the fragmentation of the sport and the fact that someone like Rex can't, outside of NHRA, the reason why DraftKings and FanDuel succeeds is because they're partnered up with a league that controls everything and kind of keeps it all boxed in to where you can just focus on that one league. Well, there's like thousands of drag racing leagues and sanctioning bodies and tracks and classes and divisions and the whole deal. And so it's almost impossible. And again, that's why you've got to have some predetermined matchups, some independent events that aren't necessarily bound by legal ramifications or whatever it may be with an HRA or any other big sanctioning body. So not patting ourselves in the back, but this is a perfect event for you to sort of make your debut with your platform and your program and give everybody a taste to what they can expect going forward.
Absolutely. I mean, you're absolutely correct. Your event is the perfect opportunity for us to show off a little bit on what we've been working so hard on. But I will say this: every association, while it's been a little bit of herding cats here for the last couple of years, I will say this to a man: every association has said, "We're really excited. What can we do to help?" Because they kind of know that, hey, this is a good opportunity to bring the fans one step closer to the race. I mean, it will be the next best thing besides being behind the wheel. And, I think the people that are in charge at different associations get it. And so from that standpoint, we're excited because we've got good partners. I mean, there's good people in this sport. And so,
oh my goodness.
I mean, that's the benefit. It's fragmented, but it's such good people that, we work through those little details.
Well, I applaud you because it takes, some courage to kind of jump in and get this ball rolling and start this process. And we need someone to do that, sort of like the NHRA video game, whether you like that game or not. We need stuff like that. We need the video game, even if they even said, hey, we've got to start somewhere and get this out there and help. And like I said, when I browse through PlayStation store or whatever, there's NHRA. It's actually right now you can do a free trial of it. It's like on promo or something with PlayStation. So it's like featured up there. And it's just cool to, no matter the quality of the game, that is up there. And the same thing with yours is that it's cool that we're finally getting this started, and you can build on it and I'm sure add features to it like we talked about through the process, but you've got to start somewhere.
We're gonna need some extra points too to start this.
Yeah, unlimited point
that's
bank
kind of how
for
we roll
DI
on
staff.
stuff, right? Yeah.
Let the hand greasing begin, right, JT?
That's right.
There's another example of what I was saying too. The No Limit drag racing game, also just the way that has dominated the mobile space, and then again, that's where yours is going to have that advantage. Is everything's mobile. And if the people can't do it on their phone, they're generally not going to do it in today's time. So again, that's something we need more ways to engage drag racers and drag racing fans in the mobile space.
Yep. I 100% agree. And to your point, the WinLight Bets app is going to evolve fairly rapidly over the summer. So, what we've got works. It's great. And it's really exciting. We're getting fantastic feedback on it, but certainly the developers are tasked with making it much, much better over the next several months. So it's going to be adding all kinds of cool features that I'm excited to bring to it.
I'm excited about it, Rex.
Yeah, we are too, man. Well, hey, thanks a bunch for joining us, Rex. We appreciate it. We're glad to be a part of this deal. And I hope that someday, many moons from now, we look back at this being a landmark partnership, bringing sports betting to the sport of drag racing. So thank you very much, man.
No, thanks for having me, guys. Really appreciate the time. And man, I cannot wait to see you here in a couple of weeks.
It'll be here before we know it, man. Thanks, Rex. Yep. Talk soon, brother.
See you guys
later.
Dude, I'm genuinely excited about it. I mean, I know that we're trying to promote this and we're trying to pump it up, but you guys play FanDuel and do all that stuff. This goes back to that conversation about it being okay to be a fan, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm excited to see people kind of pick a team, wave a flag, cheer for someone, be invested. We've got to give our fans more opportunities to get involved and to feel engaged and to feel a part of the action. So big step in the right direction, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this.
I am too.
And I might have to hit Rex up for some basketball coaching tips. I didn't know he was a basketball coach.
I've already told you.
He's tall. Dude is tall. Like when he walked up to me,
kids is you got to pay them for fouls.
Oh yeah,
that's
I need to implement.
Pay them for fouls because that way they get really aggressive.
So how much do you pay a typical 8-year-old for a foul?
$1 foul. Yep. It works, man. Dude.
Hey man, I think we may be going out.
First the season, they're the season they just don't want to get in there, and they don't want that confrontation, of grabbing and
that's what I'm dealing with.
And man, I tell you what, you give them $1 a foul, and and they're in there clawing.
I'm here for it. I was just going through these numbers.
Coach JT.
Let's talk a little bit, guys, before we bring on our next guest. Let's just talk a little bit about the buzz that existed around the U.S. Street Nationals this past weekend. I don't want to, I don't know if it's just that we've got the world talking about Pro Mod, but I think coming off the Snowbird Nationals, which was a monumental success. I mean, I was hearing it from every person I know in the space about the amount of cars that were there and the crowd that was there. You head into 2023, one of the first major events really on the schedule, late January. Everybody's ready and raring to go. 40 some odd cars come together at Bradenton Motorsports Park, produce a 369 bump spot.
Yep.
32 cars separated by a tenth of a second. I mean, let's just take a second to recognize. I mean, we are not that far removed from a Pro Mod where 16 cars were separated by like a second. I mean, that wasn't that long ago. I mean, really. I mean, if you look back at some of the NHRA Pro Mod at St. Louis, NHRA Pro Mod to start the season at Gainesville, 12 cars, 16 cars, right? 20 cars, but 4 or 5 of them ran 890s, right? And could have been in Super Comp. To think about how far Pro Modified has come in such a short amount of time, it's a really incredible evolution, a testament to the men and women that are involved in this category, but also the machines, right? The quality of equipment, the parts, everything's billet, everything's very well done. I mean, what's your take on it, Mike? You saw it with your dad. I mean, your dad held the track record at Eddyville Raceway Park for eons with a 410.
Oh,
right?
He was proud of that too. He was really proud of that. That was a crowning achievement at that track. But yeah, it's changed so much. We've talked about the technology, automatic transmissions, torque converters, traction compound, tires, shocks, all these things, traction control. I don't know if I mentioned that already, but all these things that go into getting these cars down the track consistently. That's where you get those fields of 32 cars separated by less than a tenth of a second. And we actually spoke to Victor Alvarez this morning, and I thought he made a really cool comment that that was a record turnout for them fan-wise for U.S. Street Nationals. And he said that U.S. Street kind of sets the tone for the rest of the year. And if U.S. Street is a big race, then they're in for a big year. Not only at Bradenton, but drag racing in general. So that was a cool comment that he made this morning when we talked to him, sort of giving us a little bit of insight on things that went down there this past weekend and what to look forward to for our race. So I was glued to Flow Racing the whole weekend, watching it, sort of getting my mind wrapped around the fact that we're going to be there in a month with our race. And it was impressive, to say the least.
Our Slack Racing channel was burning down all weekend, wasn't it? Yeah. Everybody was.
It was incredible to watch it unfold. And I mean, I'm just going through this qualifying list. And you look at Chip King, 359, won, brand new car, right? First weekend out with a new hot rod to run like that. Really, really, really incredible. Mark Mickey, first weekend out in competition, goes 359 with a 4 with the twin turbo combination.
Got everybody.
Yeah, what do you have that?
He had
that number 1 spot for how long? Was it like one pass? Was it one next pass? Yeah.
Randy Weatherford showing up and showing out, 360 with a 5. Just really, really impressive performances across the board. And then that 369.3 bump spot, it's just, to be honest with you guys, it's hard to really, I mean, can you show me a stronger category in all of drag racing right now?
We cannot.
Nope.
Yeah,
and
I really don't.
Talking about the numbers, and we're focusing on the numbers here, to me, the Sunday racing was key as well, because the conditions changed so dramatically. It got much more normal temperature for the area in Florida, because they were having some crazy cold weather. I think we were negative sea level or below sea level for most of the event leading up to Sunday. Then it got hot. So now it's a tuner's race. Now it's a driver's race. It's not just who can pour the most to it. It's who can navigate this for 5 rounds to take home the trophy. And our guest, I think, did the best job of that. And that's to me what impressed me the most about the people that went rounds on Sunday, and Ken Quartuccio in particular.
Yeah, absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for our next guest. Fresh off a win at the U.S. Street Nationals and Outlaw Pro Mod competition after 5 3-second runs, 4 of which are in the mid 360s. Incredible run. Had to navigate some ever-changing track conditions on Sunday, as Mike mentioned. Let's give it up for Ken Quartuccio. What's up, buddy?
How you doing, guys?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congrats,
Good
man.
job, man.
One of the quotes – oh, dude, we're so excited to have you because you said something over the weekend that I think people need to hear. You're a guy who's done a whole lot of racing in your career and have had a tremendous amount of success. But our editor-in-chief here at Drag Illustrated interviewed you for a story, and you gave him a great quote that I think is interesting. You said, of all the things I've done in my life, Pro Mod is the hardest. Can you expound on that? Because I think it's good not only for you to hear yourself say it, but all these people that are, chasing the Pro Mod dream, this is a rough and tumble deal.
Oh, it is. It is. And a little bit of history about me. I started racing in 1992. I raced the Northeast Pro Mod Shootout up here in the Northeast. I went on to race the Hot Rod Series with Tony Christian, Pat Musey. And then from there, I did some other things. I raced professionally road racing. I raced around Daytona in the Trans Am Series. And then I got back into drag racing about 10, 11 years ago. And when I tell you of all the things I've done, and I've won more races than I'm thankful and grateful for everything I've ever gotten. But this, I was talking to Manny Bajinga on Sunday, and I said, this is the hardest thing. Like, I can't believe the level that you have to race at this deal and the amount of commitment. And I go over there and I look at guys like Antron Brown, and I look at how professional they are and how polished and how they're like the perfect driver. And I'm like, what am I doing over here? I should go back and race Spec Miatas again or something easy. And that's the hard part is I see these guys and they put their heart and souls in this, and this is hard. It's overwhelming. People have no clue. Money doesn't buy anything in this sport. It does, but you know what I'm saying.
100%. Because there's people, and I don't want to I think it's easy to think that this deal, because the cars aren't manually shifted or whatever, that this is just a walk in the park and it's easy and you can do it drinking a soda and eating Doritos. And I just don't. I mean, first and foremost, the courage that is required to just do this at all, right? I mean, that gets slept on a lot. I mean, I know that I don't want to necessarily compare apples and oranges, but the best, most realist example I've seen of this is when Travis Pastrana took a notion to climb behind the wheel of that Top Fuel dragster, got in the car, and a few minutes later, this is a guy who's jumped out of an airplane without a parachute, right? This guy's jumped off buildings, faced fear more than most. He wanted out of that son of a bitch. And now think about this. I've yet to find a Top Fuel funny car guy other than, I guess, Scott Palmer that's ready, willing, and able to go jump behind the wheel of a Pro Mod. Like going 300 in a dragster is one thing, right? These cars are known for being somewhat forgiving. It's more about finesse. Most of the people that operate in that world want nothing to do with a Pro Mod. I mean, I'll tell you, I've had some really high-level Nitro funny car guys, Top Fuel guys that I offered rides to, that I could have put a deal together for them, and they said no. So, I mean, they said, no, I don't want any part of a Pro Mod, right? What's that say about this type of racing?
Like I said, I've been through the trioval at Daytona, 200 miles an hour, 2 wide, 3 wide. That's nothing compared to this. I tell people, if you want to know what it's like to drive a Pro Mod, this is what I want you to do. I want you to drink a lot, go take a shower, don't dry your hair, put a T-shirt on at 3 a.m, and go drive a Harley up the highway with straight pipes. That's what it's an animal. And for some reason, some people can get it, some people can't. But it's rewarding when you do well with it. And to put it together, I have more admiration for the people I race with now than I ever had before, because now I kind of know what it takes to do it. And I give these guys that, like the Todd Tuttaros and those kind of guys, you have to take your hat. Ricky Smith was on your show the other day. Guys like that, they're legends, and they're legends for a reason.
I agree wholeheartedly. Take us through race day, because Mike made a great point, Ken, that we had these mine shaft, incredible conditions, and people are swinging for the fences, and we're seeing one career best run after another. The racing gods decide to throw a curveball y'all's way. Sunday's a totally different deal, but you were still able to string together a really incredible performance. I mean, I think about running 368 with a 2, 398 with a 2 there in the second round, which I believe you were unopposed, or maybe that was the next round. Yeah, pedaled it. 366 with a 2, 365 with a 3. Come back for the final, go 365 with a 2. Make 2 runs within a thou. I mean, whoever would have thought that would have been the case? But can you take us through your guys, the team's mindset when the conditions changed like that?
Well, so we'll put it in perspective. So Snowbirds, we came in on Monday. We tested all week. Saturday, Sunday, we raced, right? I feel as though my driving and everything peaked at Snowbirds midweek. And then I was probably, because I don't have a long attention span, and I started to go on the downside. This race, everybody was testing. I came in Thursday afternoon. We scuffed tires. We didn't really test anything. And then we stopped. Friday, we unloaded. We did I think we went 363 first round, which was what we were shooting for. And then Jamie is like, let's try some little things. But I kept saying, man, guys are fast. Everybody's going fast. Jamie's like, doesn't matter. Sunday, none of this matters. All this is a home run derby going on right now. So Saturday night, me, my guys, and Randy Weatherford's guys, we all went out to dinner. I didn't even go for the last qualifier on Saturday. And I took it so casual. And I think in the past, I probably overthought the racing, and because Sunday was such a different condition that we knew anything that anybody did all week wasn't going to help on Sunday. And Jamie, like I said, this is a testament to Jamie because he's so ahead of the curve. It's like playing chess. He knows the next move before the next move happens. And he rounds me down a little bit. And Johnny, his son, and Denny and the crew, my wife, everybody's like, none of this matters. And at some point I had to buy into it. And once I bought into it, I felt okay. And when I was 14th on Saturday night, we're sitting there eating dinner and the checks are coming to the table, and Randy's guy, Melody, dumped me back to 14th. And then I was going to race Randy's second round if I made it. I'm like, well, this is awkward because we're eating dinner right now. But, it is what it is. I just knew on Sunday, Jamie made me feel confident that the car was going to be fine.
And when the racing's this close, and this is what we're going for, and it's what I think every promoter's really after, is that it's about really close racing where the men and women behind the wheel are going to have to be the difference makers. Because it's, everybody's got top tier equipment. Everybody's got world-class people around them for the most part.
Yep.
It's going to be on Ken's shoulders or Randy's shoulders or whoever to be the difference maker. I mean, isn't that exactly how you want it to work out?
You do. Sometimes you wish it'd be a little easier, but
right. Right.
But no, I mean, honestly, some chatter on the other internet stuff with Lyle saying that maybe when it's time to crunch time, I wasn't able to deliver. And for some reason, Sunday morning, I put my cell phone down in the trailer and I said, my wife, just keep an eye on it. I'm not going to go on my phone all day. I'm not going to think about anything. I'm just going to enjoy the day. I sat down, I talked to Mike Valero for a couple hours and just talked to different fans that came by, which I never do because I'm kind of quiet. And I knew my driving was going to be good because every time I got in the car, I really wasn't nervous. Like it was probably the best experience I ever had. And I know it sounds cliche, this was the best experience on a Sunday I've ever had for me as a driver.
Wow. I mean, I enjoy that little bit of insight because it's to get into the head of a driver on race day when everything has changed overnight, because that's normally not the type of environment that you'd want, right? No. You'd want to know that, like, okay, everything that's been working is going to work today. But so is that something you think that you will continue a trend of? Because one of the things that I've always found interesting, Ricky Smith's a great example. Some of these guys that are tasked with having such a broad attention. They've got to pay attention to a lot of different things. You mentioned some of the professional drivers like Antron. He's able to pretty much laser focus on driving when he goes to the track, right? On Sunday for sure, that's the extent of his focus for the most part, is my job's to be the best that I can be behind the wheel of that car. Was it nice to kind of lean into that and adopt that mindset and not be trying to run the business and run the team and all these things as well simultaneously?
And that's 100% it. I mean, I'm going to tell you, at Snowbirds, I had a lot of stuff going outside of racing, and I was on the phone a lot with work. There was a lot going on, and my driving showed. It really showed. And this weekend, I've never talked to me and Manny pit next to each other because it's convenient for Jamie, which is perfect. I've never once had a conversation with Antron Brown. I've never even said hello to him. He's there, but I watch him the whole time, and I watch how these guys do it. And I kind of pick up. I'm smart enough to pick up on some of the things that I'm doing wrong. And when Lyle said some of the things he said, I wasn't mad because he was right. You cannot race at this level if you are not giving your end of the deal. That means you have to stage that car the exact same spot every time. Because how is Jamie supposed to do his job if I stage shallow, deep, if I go to the gas too soon, if I don't go to the gas soon enough? Jamie can't do his job. Well, this weekend was one of the first weekends in a long time where I did everything I was supposed to do. I feel as though I did. And that's very rewarding. And other than the great people that you meet and become friends with at the track, this drag racing is not that rewarding because it's hard and it doesn't give a lot back.
No, I mean, it really, I was told it's, what do they say? Drag racing is for people who love work and hate money.
Yeah.
You know, and it's true. I mean, most of the time, if you bring someone out to go to the races with you for the weekend, it's like the first and last time. Like if they're working, you know, if they're crewing on a car, like, oh, you know what? I don't know that I want to do this anymore. It's a tough deal. So take us through a little bit. You said something else just about racing at Bradenton Motorsports Park. I mean, it's no secret Vic Alvarez and the gang down there pour their heart and souls into that place. Brand new surface, new grandstands, trying to improve the place every time they kick the doors open, it would seem. You said that you always enjoy racing down there. I love that part of the country. I think it's got a great fan base down there. Great place to go drag racing. I mean, what was your experience just being at Bradenton?
For me, it's like I call it a second chance. So I'm a PDRA guy. I consider them, that's my home. But something about Bradenton and Orlando, but really Bradenton, whenever I get down on my luck or I just like I don't feel right, I could go to Bradenton and for some reason that surface, Jamie has the tune-up for it. He has the secret sauce for that track. And whether it was Outlaw 632, RVW, whatever it was, Pro 275, for some reason, something about the place, I always cut decent lights and we just do well there. And I bet you that's where I won most of my races for some reason. I don't know. And for some reason, US Street, that time of the year is perfect for me. And then it catapults me through the beginning of the season. And I feel energized. Like I can't wait to get to your race. And then I can't wait to get to the PDRA. You know what I mean? And Victor does such a good job. I loved Alan, and Alan ran that track great. But Victor has done such a good job, and he's made it more user-friendly for the racers. So the little things like that. And then the track surface is perfect. And everything about that track, like I wish I could live there. Like I could live there. If I could stand the heat in the summer, I'd live in Florida and I would move to Bradenton.
I'm here for it, man. I feel like it's a perfect venue for a race like ours. Just a great place for people to be, great time of the year. Before we cut you loose, Ken, and I appreciate you being so gracious with your time this afternoon. You mentioned the PDRA. We're obviously big believers in what the Professional Drag Racers Association do and have done. Tyler Cross, Judy, Tommy Franklin, the whole gang over there. That's something that we've really enjoyed seeing. I've noticed Keith Haney and the Midwest contingent are kind of rallying around one another We got the Deckers and Chuck Olsch and our Northeast Outlaw Pro Mod contingent. Everybody's kind of clicking up, which is exactly what we wanted to see. So when we see you down at the World Series of Pro Mod, Ken, do you feel like you're racing for the PDRA? Are you waving the PDRA flag?
100%. I'm PDRA all the way through. That's those people. I've never met an organization and a group of people that are that good of people. They're not just good promoters. They're not just good at anything, but like I'm excited and I'm proud to say I'm part of PDRA. And this season, me and Fletcher, we're gonna support that deal, the whole season together. And with Jamie tuning the both of us, I think we're gonna be in pretty good shape. And I'm excited. I think they have the best. No offense to Midwest, no offense to NMCA, but not even NHRA. Probably get in trouble for that, but I think the PDR racers are the best racers in the country. I would put them up against anybody.
And that's the whole goal of this. And I appreciate you saying that, because bringing all these guys and gals together that may not race each other otherwise, right? May not cross paths because, our sport, Mike mentioned it at the beginning of the show. It's fragmented. It's part of it. It's a good thing and a bad thing. At times it can be problematic, but everybody kind of has to very regionalized, right? All these series kind of exist in their pockets. And that's what I'm excited about, is bringing the stars and cars of the PDRA, Northeast Outlaw, Midwest Drag Racing Series, NMCA, NHRA, all to one place at one time to see who's who. Ken, thank you for all that you've done for us, your support of our event, everything that you do for the sport of drag racing. It's not lost on us, man. We appreciate you very much. Thank you and congratulations.
Take care.
Let's give it up for Ken Quartuccio, guys. Man, what a great interview. I love getting these guys to be so candid. I feel lucky.
That was awesome.
When do you get to hear him talking about like going to, this is awkward. Who's going to, right? I mean, I may have to race this guy. Like, what a great story.
Good dude, man. Talking about Fletcher, I wonder if Fletcher's going to be more excited for the Super Bowl or coming to our race.
I'm going to say Super Bowl.
Yeah. You better take it easy on my boy,
No, and I was going to go
I bet
down
if you
the
asked
whole
him,
Super Bowl
it's
pack.
close. It's close, I'm sure.
He seems genuinely fired up, and that, in the handful of conversations I've had with Fletcher over the course of the last few months, he does seem genuinely excited, right? And that,
JT, are we allowed to pull for the Eagles because they have Fletcher?
No.
Come on, man. You were going to pull for the Chiefs anyway, just so you could ride me.
Oh yeah. Hey, I got my jersey. I'm ready to go. Thanks to the T. Whole family's ready for the Super Bowl.
I want to say real quick, I don't have my scripts in front of me because I'm working from home, but I want to give a huge shout out to all of our sponsors, our friends, Mark Beatty and the gang at Redline Oil. Log on to redlineoil.com for more information. Make sure that you let those folks know. Choose the brands that support us. I also want to give a big shout out to Tommy Cunningham and the team at Stroud Safety, 100% made in America safety gear. Of course, our live streaming partners at Flow. Log on to flowracing.com. Join the movement. And of course, catch the World Series of Pro Mod March 3rd, 4th, and 5th, 2023. Flow will be there all week delivering the goods. Guys, we got one more guest fresh off what was an incredible start to the 2023 season. I don't know that anybody would have picked Chip to come out. Chip King, a longtime Pro Mod veteran. He's been a part of this deal damn near since the onset. But with a brand new car, brand new program, I mean, very rarely do you come out of the gate qualifying number one. Chip King laid down an incredible 359 blast there in the, what was it, Friday or Saturday night? Friday night?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
His teammate ran well too. They really had that combination figured out. And I saw a post saying that they had really been doing their homework and trying to nail down that combination. It looks like they did it.
Oh, clearly. So let's give it up for the one, the only Pro Mod icon, Chip King. You guys stay on here and hang out with me. What's up, Chip?
What's up, Chip?
Oh. Hey guys, I apologize for the laryngitis, but I finally nailed it down because I had to have a good story for it, and I can't have a good drinking story. So when I actually made that run, you can read the scoreboards at Bradenton, once you get the chutes out, and I saw it, and I think I screamed so loud that I actually hurt my larynx just a little bit.
Hey, that's
the best story I can come up with.
That's all good, man. That's a good reason to lose your voice.
Yeah, I may have said some ugly things about the doubters too in that period. but luckily I didn't have my GoPro on. So
Chip says ugly things about the doubters. We call that F the haters, right?
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
Is that a real thing, Chip? I mean, to be honest, I mean, you're a guy that's been a part of this scene for as long as I can remember. What about what Chip King and company are doing creates doubters?
Well, just, most people were a little skeptical of a Jerry Haas car, a Pro Mod, actually being competitive. And I think on another show here recently, it was some folks saying that if you don't have a new model Camaro, you're not going to run up front, and just things to that nature. So
yeah, it's, to me, I mean, I got to be honest, man. Seeing something out there that's not a '69 Camaro. We were actually going through this, Mike and I, trying to come up with cars to put on our event T-shirt. We were running through our entry list, and I'm like, oh shit, every single car is a '69 Camaro or a late model Camaro. Or a 68, it's tough, man. And so thank God for guys. I know you've told this story before, but I'd love to know a little bit about, just your commitment to Mopar and flying that Dodge flag. Can you take us through some of that? I mean, brand new body, right? If I understand correctly, you guys debuted it at PRI. What's kept you committed to that all these years?
Well, my first bracket car was a '66 Barracuda, and it kind of evolved from there. When I started to go the Pro Mod route, I talked to Dodge Factory Chrysler, and they gave me the Avenger body to build the first car with. So, then a good friend of mine, Richard Patterson, came up with the Daytona idea. So, we got in together and built that. And then, as the Daytona kind of got on in years, I was like, well, I think a Charger would be more aerodynamic, and so we've built a couple of versions of that. But this latest version is a brand new body. We had to pull a mold off it once the car was done, so that took a little time. But that's what we wanted to do, and we think it's a good car.
Well, I mean, quite clearly. I mean, were you even surprised to come out and have that level of success right off the bat?
Well, we went out a week early and tested there at Bradenton, and the car was very happy early on, and we knew we would have a front runner. We weren't exactly sure how quick we would go, but we felt like it could go to the front. And then by the time Saturday morning got there, Justin Carmack walked back and said, "We're going to the front. We're going to put it on the pole this run." I said, "Okay, let's do it." So I guess he was right.
I mean, quite clearly worked, right? That run, I think, caught all of us, off guard, just because you don't anticipate people having, Pro Mod, as we've mentioned, has gotten so competitive. Everybody's running these things on the ragged edge. So most people come out and have a little bit of a struggle with a new car or a new combination. But as Spencer Hyde is saying in the comments, it looked effortless. I mean, it was a really incredible thing, what you guys were able to string together. Take us through one of the conversations we were having with Ken Quartuccio a few minutes ago. You were a part of the NHRA Pro Mod movement from the very beginning, Chip. You were a part of it when a large majority of the cars didn't get down the track. We didn't have the side-by-side racing that we have now. What do you make of how far Pro Modified has come over the course of the last couple of decades? I mean, it sounds like a long time, but it really hasn't been. I mean, if you really think about how fast the cars have gotten, how much more consistent they are. I mean, what do you point to as some of the driving force behind that evolution, Chip?
Well, I'll give you a very good example. I won U.S. Street Nationals in 2016 with a 386 or 7, which was about the good run of the weekend. And the engine that's in the car for this event, or was in the car for this event, was the same engine with just less compression for the screw blower, but it was my NHRA legal engine from 2016 that was running at best mid 380s at the time. So it's all in the torque converters and the drive units and the rear ends and the suspension and the chassis, and it's not that big of an advance in horsepower, and obviously the screw blower is part of that, but the same base platform engine, it had small valves, it had all the NHRA legal stuff in it, and that is the engine that was in the first Charger in 2016, as in, blockheads configuration like that. So, my point was, well, let's put the oldest one in there in case we go through some growing pains. We won't hurt one of our newest engines. Well, it started running so well, I dared anybody to ask me to take it out. I'm like, that thing has won here before, running a lot slower, so we can't take this one out. So, so that's what I contributed to, and people learning, but it's mostly in the torque converters and in the suspension,
It's, if you think about a bump spot of a 369, I mean, there was 2 guys that ran 60s and didn't qualify. I mean, I think Manny Bajinga goes 372 with a 6, doesn't make the cut. What do you make of that level of competition? I mean, does it even surprise you, someone who's been around this for as long as you have, Chip? I mean, was that as shocking to you as it was to the rest of us?
No, because you have so many teams that are part of a bigger organization that have the ability to share information, and you have 5 or 6 Tuttle cars, 6 or 8 Proline cars, the Slimmy cars, So we were talking about it after second round. We're like, wow, us and Travis Harvey, or me, Cole, Travis Harvey, I think are the only independents left in eliminations, after one round. So it just shows that with all the technology sharing that goes on between those teams, that it's going to put a lot of people up there. So we felt very good to be a kind of a one Roots car and one Screw Charger car that we could run up there with those guys,
Is that kind of will that be, you think, part of the storyline of Pro Mod moving forward? That it's kind of, you could liken it to Top Fuel, where the independent teams, like, you're really doing something if you're able to go out there and be successful as a 1-car operation. Do you think that's going to be more and more of the case as we move forward?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when somebody can get 5, 6, 7 times the runs in that you do, obviously they're going to figure out more things. We personally test our car a lot. We don't. A lot of this stuff isn't just because we thought of it. We go to the racetrack and run it. It's nothing for us to go to Glod or somewhere like that, or even to Bradenton and spend 5 days straight making laps by ourselves. Because that's the only way you're going to get data. Is you can do all the research you want, you can do all the dynoing you want, but until it goes down that racetrack quick, it's it's all science to that point, right? Then it's magic.
Yeah, it's all on paper. That's why they say we don't race them on paper, right?
That's why we don't race them on paper. If we'd raced them on paper, I would have won on Sunday.
It's true. So what do you make of just kind of the overall growth of Pro Modified as a category? I mean, you were a part of it in its infancy and NHRA when you're fighting for pit spots and you're fighting not to have your class, your rounds canceled, or anytime weather conditions kind of got dicey, like, hey guys, we may or may not run you. And to see Pro Mod where it's at today, where all these incredible places to race. I mean, you're an NMCA Extreme Pro Mod World Champion. You've been a part of all. Do you feel like something of a proud papa to like just see how many great opportunities there are for Pro Mod racers at this point in time? I mean, there's not just one game in town anymore.
Absolutely, it's so many places to race anymore, and they're all great. Sanctioning bodies. They all do a great job on track prep. So. Anymore, you can go pretty much any part of the country on a given weekend and find a series to race in. I mean, it's luckily this year, everybody either luckily did it or they were very strategic, because you don't have hardly any conflicts this year between different series. So it's a lot of weekends out there that you can go run Pro Mods.
Yeah, that's key to all these series surviving, and for the racers to be able to not really pick and choose, but just be able to run the races that they want to run and kind of dabble in each one of them. So really cool deal. We won't keep you much longer, Chip. I know you're struggling with your voice there, and I think we're having some audio issues too. So awesome weekend, man. And we'll look forward to having you at World Series of Pro Mod.
So I'm gonna give y'all one more little tidbit before we get
Please.
off here. There may be a very prominent driver that's already entered in the World Series that is not as sure in their competitiveness that may be in the Mustang, the DreamWorks Motorsports Mustang, come qualifying time at the World Series. And I'm not going to give you any tips or hints of who it may be, but I think people would be very surprised.
No joke.
They're already entered. It's just they want to make sure that they have a competitive shot.
Now you can give us one little hint.
So you're saying somebody that's already been invited, a driver.
Oh yeah,
is going to be in.
Is
going to be in your red Mustang.
We started talking about it earlier today, and we got a couple more conversations about it. But that's what has been brought, to the table this morning, and I've put my part out and said, here's what we'll do, and they're very anxious to make it happen. So we're supposed to talk again here, maybe later today or tomorrow. But it'll be very interesting because that car had a very good shot at winning the race also.
Yeah, it looked good.
We had an ignition problem after during the second round and changed engines before round 3, and the ignition problem backfired it just before we went up. So we damaged the supercharger, and that kind of ended the day for that car. But that car can run right up there too with the Ritz blower, and we're very excited if this deal finalizes, which we really hope it does. That's going to make it very interesting because I told this driver that if we make this deal, it ain't going to be you just come get in it for the race. We're going to test the shit out of it to give you just as good a shot with that car as we have with the Charger with this Ritz blower. I mean, the screw blower on it. So.
All right,
so now we're gonna have to pay attention to that.
You guys
everybody
got
in the comments. Yeah, drop your guesses. I already see a lot of Lyle Barnett comments. Ricky Smith, I think he'll be doing his own deal. So we'll see.
Now Ricky has asked me in the past to drive the Mustang, but not for this event. He has let me drive that thing one time. Let me go drive that thing one time. But no,
it's awesome.
I will tell you, it's not Ricky. But he has asked before or mentioned it, like, I'd like to drive that thing one time. But yeah,
well, hey man, I was glad to see Terry Coyle making some laps, man. What a great guy, an incredible human being that deserves to be in the mix out here. Awesome dude. So congrats on all the success, Chip. Go ahead, because he's an incredible guy that often doesn't get his due.
One hell of a tuner and driver. We race this hard. We don't hurt parts, and he's just an overall really good guy, and very thankful to have him and Justin Carmack and all the other guys on the team. And we'll be very excited if we put this deal together and get this Mustang out there and winning potential too. It very much was in winning potential this weekend, but for World Series, it's it's on like Donkey Kong. I can tell you.
Chip, thank you, man. We appreciate you. Get your voice feeling better, and we'll talk to you soon, brother. Stay out of trouble.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Chip.
Yes, thanks, Chip.
Okay.
Have a good one,
guys. All right,
it's on like Donkey Kong.
It's on like Donkey Kong.
Hey, man, I believe it.
Wes, you're supposed to know this shit. You're supposed to know what he's talking about.
Yeah,
I'm a little bit bummed out that
guy.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, he loves. Wes probably knows. He likes to spring stuff on us, like adding classes to the race. Or
he's been texting people though, right? Have you?
Yeah,
yeah, some. I mean,
JT, you always remember how we found out about the first World Door Slammer Nationals. Just keep. That's all you need to know. That's all.
Were we still in the hotel room and I was laying in bed
and I was doing a press conference.
All the rest of us were back. We're just gonna go chill in the room. All right.
Yeah.
Is Wes doing a live press conference down there right now?
Yes. And I said, yes. Mike, I think we're having a race. And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah. Everybody's saying that we're having a race in like 30 days or something. How many days it was?
It was like less than 90. Yeah. So no, that was that was a good one. Sometimes
we were pretty floored though. I gotta admit, we were just looking at each other. We're like, What?
Because we both looked at each other and said, "Oh shit, we know what that means for us. We know the work we've got coming down the pipe."
Yeah, man. It's a labor of love,
boy.
right? I mean, I will tell you, I got to give it up. Like our whole team, I told my wife this morning, I told Alicia, I said, dude, I just feel really lucky that I've got so many good people around me. Like everybody is doing their deal, fighting the good fight.
But that's why you didn't tell us, because you knew that we'd talk you out of it.
Yeah,
that's right.
Sometimes
exactly.
I do those
Especially
things
me.
strategically.
I'm really good at that.
Yeah, I do those things strategically. You know, if I don't tell anybody, it's because I don't want talked out of it. I don't want any feedback. It's like one of my favorite Kanye tweets, Kanye West, is like, I ain't taking no advice from anyone ever again. And it's like, every once in a while, you got to go full Kanye and just say, you know what, this is what we're doing because I said this is what we're doing. And I'm not really looking for feedback or input,
Don't go full Kanye. Don't go 2022 Kanye.
Yeah.
Do like 2011, 2008.
He had a
Kanye.
good run.
I kind of live by that. Easier to ask for forgiveness than it is permission.
There you go.
Ask Stacy.
Man,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know why it's not 4 or 5. I mean, you're just having fun. But you ain't texting home going, yeah, man, I think I'm gonna go to an after bar party. What do you think?
No, you're just going.
You're just going.
Yeah. You're just going. And that's, I mean, honestly, I think that I could have talked myself out of World Series of Pro Mod real quick, but
you were trying. But we talked you into. I will say, I think we talked you into this race this time, right? Wouldn't you say, JT? I think the rest of the team talked him into it because it had been time, man. We took a year off, and things had settled.
Had a good partner,
good track. COVID, hopefully in the rear view for the most part, and rules, combinations. We've been talking for a few years. I can remember having, I think it was Tommy Franklin or something on, and debating the fact that the two combinations, nitrous and all boosted combinations, were getting fairly close. I actually think this is when nitrous was creeping up on the boosted combinations, and sort of seeing that you can run these cars together. We could be getting back to running all these combinations together, and I think that that's what all the races down there in Bradenton, including ours, now added to that. That's sort of the special sauce they have down there.
I agree. And I think I could have easily, I mean, I do. And I appreciate you guys being supportive of it because sometimes I get these things in my head and I get running a million miles an hour and, you need someone, sometimes I need some support, some backup on this stuff. There are times that I'm like, no, you can't tell me. You can't tell me that this isn't a good idea. But no, and you're right, because it felt like the sport, we had to let Pro Mod kind of like settle. It felt like there was some comings and goings. And it felt like the class as a whole was lacking some stability. Like the NHRA series, new sponsors, different sponsors, car count and shoes, and it felt fragmented. But we had a great conversation with Tommy and Judy Franklin actually yesterday morning, I think it was, and they agreed with us, and it felt good to hear. They feel like the success of the World Series of Pro Mod will have a direct impact on the success of the PDRA. And it felt like, man, those are some folks that really get it. They're going, okay, if our guys go over here and do well in the, Drag Illustrated and the World Series, put all this energy and effort into building stars and to turning these men and women that drive these cars into celebrities, it's only going to help the series that they race with for the most part, right? Or
absolutely.
At least that's my thought, Well,
it does. I mean, you can't deny it. I mean, you're promoting them, you're putting them on a pedestal, and they're going to be the main show. And they're going to remember them for the rest of the year when they're wherever they're racing at.
Right. No matter where they go, they will be able to fly the flag of like, hey, I got invited to the World Series of Pro Mod. I was guilty by association. And it's my hope that, all these sanctions and series will kind of rally around that. Right. And be supportive of it and be excited about it. I think we're going to see some like sanctions and series flying their own flags. Like I think we're going to see some PDRA guys up there waving the PDRA flag. I think we'll probably see decals on different cars. I think the PDRA is going to like set up shop and provide food and drink, for all their PDRA brethren. It's an exciting time, man. It's a really great thing. It's a great thing.
Yep.
So, all right, guys. Well, hey, with that said, I think you guys ready to wrap things up for the day?
Yes,
yeah, man,
sir.
sounds good.
No, huge shout out to Rex and the gang at WinLight Bets. Of course, Ken Quartuccio, Chip King, thanks for being a part of this. Great conversations as always. Great group of people here. Stay safe, stay warm out there. Remember the World Series of Pro Mod coming up March 3rd, 4th, 5th, 2023, Bradenton Motorsports Park. 3 days that will live forever in infamy. We got some major announcements coming in the next couple of days regarding the race. So stay tuned to Drag Illustrated. And like Mike was getting ready to say, go buy your tickets because those VIP ones are going fast, man.
Yes, they are. All right, boys.
Thanks, guys. Talk
Thanks,
soon.
everybody.
Later.
I'll play the dun 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 dun.